Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace, mercy, and blessings of God be upon you. This is a new presentation from www.central-mosque.com and the Humble Heart YouTube channel. It is the 27th episode of the Making Sense series. The topic today is $4,000 for abortion. Some of you may not know, but in this part of the world, which is United States, there is a huge uproar between conservatives and liberals over the overturning of Roe versus Wade and the delegation of abortion rights to a state level in the United States. So here's a little summary of those who don't live in America as to what in the world is going on. In 1969, there was a 25-year-old woman called Norma McCorvey, and using the fake name or an alias called Jane Roe, she challenged the abortion laws in Texas. So at that time, abortion in Texas was outlawed. The person who defended it, he was a district attorney by the name of Henry Wade, and that's why this landmark decision is known as Roe versus Wade even today. And it went on for a few years in different courts in Texas. It was escalated and sent to the Supreme Court of the United States. And in 1973, with a 7-2 verdict, the Supreme Court of the United States, it says that the government lacked the power to prohibit abortions. So abortion was, in simpler terms, legalized in America in 1973. Since then, there have been several cases which have gone to various courts, federal courts, state courts, etc. And the 1973 Roe versus Wade ruling had remained intact until 2022. When Donald Trump came to power, what he did is he appointed several conservative judges to the Supreme Court. And in a 7-2 verdict this time, the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. Putting the technicalities of this aside, what actually happened is in 1973, abortion was legal in America at a federal level, i.e., no state in America could ban abortion. As a result of 2022 verdict, what has happened, it no longer has federal protections. So various states in America, for example, you have a state in Florida, state of Texas, etc., can create laws banning abortion or enacting abortion, the legality of abortion into their state laws. So this is right now a massive debate in America over abortion. So there are roughly two groups of people. People either identify them as pro-life and pro-choice. So I'm really simplifying this. It's not really that simple, but in very simple terms, pro-life are the people who believe in restrictions on abortion, some sort of restriction. They usually, these people are Christian or come from some sort of religious belief or have personal, very strong views on abortion. So various degrees of restrictions, whether it should be allowed under this term or not, or this circumstances or whatever, restrictions on abortion, basically, pro-life, that's their position. Pro-choice people believe in personal autonomy, and their position comes from the women liberation and freedom movement, and they say women have the choice to actually decide when and however they want an abortion. So what I've been watching on social media is a lot of Muslims are also talking about this, and I see some Muslims taking a pro-choice or pro-life position versus what we should be doing as Muslims is taking a look at the Quran and the Sunnah and to find out what does the Islamic Sharia say about this position. So guys and girls, dudes and dudettes, I kind of disagree with this position that brothers and sisters are taking. We should be taking a look at Islam and the Quran and the Sunnah. And if you are ever in these kind of circumstances, refer to a credible, authentic, trusted scholar and ask for a legal advice on what it is. Because in Islam, the position of Islam and Sharia, there are some instances where abortion is permitted before a certain time of pregnancy and under certain circumstances, etc. So you need to discuss the situation with the ulama, because the Sharia position doesn't neatly fit into either a pro-choice or a pro-life position, and Allah Ta'ala knows best. So refer the matter to the scholars. Here I'm simply talking about one aspect that disturbed me a little bit about this discussion. So as a result of the 2022 US Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade, it is now down to US states. So what is happening is some of the states have immediately banned all sorts of abortions. Some are expected to ban, others are unknown, and others like California, New York, etc. are codifying it and ensuring that it remains legal. So there's a battle going on over abortion in United States. Now, corporations, huge corporations in America, Amazon, your Microsoft, your Netflix, everybody, and all of these, what they have done. Actually, before I talk about it, let me just take you back to this slide. So, what's happened in certain states, abortion has been banned or is expected to be banned. So, states which are right next to it or close to those states. So, for example, take a look at right here in the Carolinas. So if in Tennessee and Georgia and Florida, if abortion is banned, then these people will travel up to the Carolinas, and where abortion, as of now, remains legal, and they will try to get abortion done. So what that does, it adds two complications. Number one, if you work in a state where abortion has been declared illegal. For example, Florida is still unknown because there's some legal challenges going on. But imagine if Florida state banned abortion and somebody works in the state of Florida. So what they have to do is, first of all, they have to travel up to the Carolinas, and once they've got two extra costs. One, they have to call their insurance and find out would this insurance cover out of state abortion. Number two, all is just traveling and expenses, etc. It's an added cost to the person who's trying to get abortion. So now let me talk about this slide. So certain companies like Microsoft, Citibank, Walt Disney, Levi, Hewlett Packard, Salesforce, etc. What they have done is they're trying to give a bursary of $4,000 towards abortion cost. So they're telling their employees that, by the way, if you live in a state where abortion has been declared illegal and if you need to travel, we will give you up to $4,000 to go get your abortion out of state. Now, on the social media, a lot of people are praising these companies. So these companies were given $4,000. They have become the darling of the liberal world, and they're saying, "Wow, fantastic! All of these companies are great. They're actually helping people get abortion." I mean, just think about those words of saying helping women access abortion and other services. However, when I dug into this a little bit more, and it's saying, okay, why are these companies providing $4,000 towards abortion and such treatments? If they wanted to help somebody, why don't they just give out $4,000 bursaries and said, here's $4,000, use it to what you see fit. If you think you need to get abortion, this is just an argument that I'm making. If you think you need to get abortion, then fine, use $4,000 towards it. If you think you need to keep this child, or if you have a difficult pregnancy, use that towards it. But they are ring fencing this as, treatment going towards abortion, not directly abortion, but towards abortion. So when I looked into it, what I found or unearthed was the ugly side of capitalism, and this is what disturbed me. In the United States, they are talking about bills in billions of costs. So if you take a look at antenatal care, this is before you have a child, 7.8 billion. Delivery and postnatal care, 11.7 billion. Newborn care, 2.6 billion. HIV care for pregnant women and newborns, 0.9 billion. So this entire cost up to right here is about having a baby, versus abortion and post-abortion care, 2 billion. That's it. So what these companies are doing is they figured this out, that basically, hey, and it is actually sickening when I'm saying these words, that they believe that it's cheaper for them to pay these women and go get abortion rather than trying to have a baby. And this is borne out by the costs involved. So this, I've got it directly from the Institute of Women's Policy and Research. And it says the bottom line is that state level abortion restriction cost the US economy $105 billion per year by reducing women labor force participations and earnings and increasing turnover and time off from work among women ages 15 to 44 years. Without abortion restrictions, the national GDP would be nearly a half a percentage greater. This article is, by the way, before Roe versus Wade was overturned, so it's probably worse now. But what they're trying to say is by banning abortion, women who are of childbearing age, their contribution to the work environment lessens. It has a direct impact on US economy to the point where if there were no abortion restrictions in America whatsoever, the national GDP of America would be nearly a half a percentage greater. This, those who talk about women liberty and women rights and etc., in societies, in capitalist societies, women are nothing but a cog in the capitalist machines which people use to make money. So they are willing to put children, unborn children, into jeopardy just so they can get productivity out of these women. So here's $4,000, go get an abortion because it is cheaper. A woman who has, who's pregnant, she requires care, then she requires, maternity leave, etc. Abortion cheaper. Go get an abortion so you can get back to work and be productive and contribute to the American GDP. This is coming from the Institute for Women's Policy Research. Absolutely astounding. Now, the other thing is what I'm hearing news and stuff, and this is about women participation in the workforce. How can the society continue to ensure the women participate in the work? And CNN and MSNBC and stuff I was watching the other day, and they keep talking about birthing parent. What a phrase, birthing parent. So it somehow tries to make it sound like that this has something to do, with both genders, etc., versus abortion and the impact of abortion. Why these companies are paying has directly to do with women and their participation in the workforce. They're trying to, give it this political corrected, a phrase which is politically correct, and to try to blindside you from the fact that this is about women's participation in the workforce. The reason I made this video is just for one reason and one reason only. All of these discussions where people are talking about the rights of women to have an abortion, the companies paying and workforce participation and impact on the economy and GDP, nowhere is anyone talking about the right of the child. Okay, so imagine this child, a baby. So once you have a baby, those of us who've had babies, it's one of the most joyous experiences in your life. Okay, those who don't have a baby cannot relate to it. So what does Islam say about it? So number one, all of these economic costs. So repeatedly in the media, what I'm seeing is all these experts are coming in and saying it takes a lot to have a child, to then deliver a child, then you need this child needs medical care, then this child needs to go to school, etc., etc., etc. So they're saying, what the economic impact of this is gonna devastate America, etc. Allah Ta'ala says something entirely different in the Quran. Allah says, chapter 6, verse number 151, do not kill your children for fear of poverty. We provide for you and for them. Allah provides children. Allah will look after them. Do not look at this innocent child in terms of dollars and cents. Number one. Number two, pre-Islam, the non-Muslims of Makkah used to bury their daughters, because whenever their daughter was born, they used to bury them. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, in chapter 81, verse number 8, and when baby girls buried alive are asked, 81, verse number 9, for what crime they were put to death. So, all of these children which are being aborted simply because, I can't even get the words out of my mouth that, some people don't want these children for whatever reasons, for economic reasons or whatever. When we die and we are placed in front of God, this child will be brought back to life, and this child will ask for what crime they were put to death. This entire discussion is missing the moral dimension and people are being misled into this false economy and saying, you know what, here's $4,000, go get abortion. Somebody needs to zoom out and look at this really without being bogged down into these two camps of pro-choice and pro-life and say this is about a child, that the joy that you have for bringing a child into this world. These companies are not your friend. They are not giving you $4,000 because they love you, because if they did, then what they would do is they would ensure that women who have Pregnancies are looked after during pregnancies. Those who have difficult pregnancies have extra bursaries and money. After pregnancy, childcare is enhanced. Nobody is doing that. What they're just giving you $4,000 to go get an abortion and get back to work as soon as possible. May Allah Ta'ala save us from this kind of thinking. My brothers and sisters, zoom out and look at this issue from a moral perspective. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.